Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are live on Radio Apniwaz and you are live listening to our podcast, which is weekly, every week. And uh, interestingly enough, we talk about different topics. And one of those topics now, today, is obviously it's the breaking news kind of thing that most of us will have reform uh, as our what do you call it, in some cases leadership, mainly in the council. So obviously, it won't affect us MP wise, but in terms of councils, it definitely does affect us, and it definitely does mean that there's going to be different representations, and it's going to be obviously some people believe the reform are far right, and I have to, I think, start by giving you some facts and figures. Obviously, they are in terms of council seats. You have 1454. Uh, Mind you, they could have changed from yesterday night, but I believe these to be correct. And then we got Labour on 1068, Lib Dems 844, Conservatives 801, and Greens 586. Obviously, there's others, including independents. And when in national scale, you barely hear of independents because it's mainly a two-party race, and obviously, unfortunately, it does look like the two parties have, in terms of Labour and Conservative, have taken a massive hit. Both of them are down massively, and yeah, it looks like Reform's the winner. But also, interestingly enough, I think we need to mention the council, the actual councils. So Labour still has more councils by Hodzo, so in different places. We know Bradford, for example, the area that we are in is no over our control. So Reform are leading, but what do you call in other places, Labour do still have 28 councils and Reform have 14. Right. What's your take on these events?
Yeah, it shows there. Assalamu alaikum to all the listeners and yourself. Yeah, so these elections that have taken place, they show a sign that the Labour and Conservatives, they've now the two party was ruling for the last 100 years. That's broken, especially like in Wales, where they've lost the overall majority, and in other parts as well. Um, so, what started as fringe party? So the UKIP was the UKIP was for Brexit. Now there's people, big majorities shows that they shouldn't have left the EU. But some of the issues that they won on is anti-immigration, Islamophobic views that the were given out by Farage and his party. The people have decided, the propaganda that we're going to be taken over by immigrants that are coming on boats and dinghies. So this whole hysteria or build up to this election, the council election throughout this country, what we need to ask is obviously as Muslims, that why is this taking place, and how we can obviously we know we've got the truth, we've got Islam, and we should deliver that to all people and all places, because what we've seen from these kind of parties is that they promise you the world and deliver nothing. And now, will reform be able to deliver on stopping immigration and solving problems like the austerity that's been taking, the cost of living crisis? I don't think it can deliver, because the reason being, these are global problems. These are part of the uh, international problems. They have an impact. And locally, if you are going to change that, they will not allow you to do that. They will not allow you to get out of the system. So those who voted for reform, they will soon find out that what they voted for is just a mirage. It's just
Yeah,
basically
I
a
think I'll
mirage.
carry on with from that. I think what you're trying to say, especially with the Nigel Farage, he said we will have Brexit, then we will see that there will be many changes. One of those changes will be that the NHS will get 350 million pounds extra, which was I think that was a lie. And obviously he's admitted later that whatever he said was a lie. So I think he's saying a lot of things that I don't think he'll be able to deliver on. And obviously we do know that Farage himself is being financed from abroad. So there's foreign agents involved, including from somebody is saying in Thailand, or British, I think it's British citizen, or is he probably non-dom status? Don't know about that. We'll have to find out, clarify about that. But he's saying in Thailand, giving them millions of pounds into his personal account. So, and in the past, we've seen people gift him, thousands of pounds. We're doing a show here, nobody gives us anything. And that's him
Yeah.
getting gifted millions of pounds, and that's how he's surviving. And he's getting basically, he's saying what other people are telling him to say. Obviously, we do know he has Germanic, well, it's Germany's, his parents are from, and obviously his background probably is will be a similar status to probably other guys that he's got. His parents are from abroad, and he himself, shockingly, is showing a very, shall we say, some people would characterize as a neo-Nazi kind of, what do you call? Obviously, he's educated, so that's why he can probably get away with it. But is the like neo-Nazi kind of views, and basically, uh, what do you call? I think when people hear about that he's actual an immigrant himself, obviously he gets away with it because he's white and probably Christian as well. But that shouldn't be the case. Obviously, we do need to remind people that our parents and grandparents have the connection with the British for many hundreds of years, and that's why we're here. There's that link. That's why we're here, and we're still a minority. There's no way we are going to overtake politics, but this has happened. I think a reform are here now. I think there has to be something major, and I think we need to let people know about what's happening with the finances, because a lot of the main media outlets have given them so much airtime. When you give somebody airtime, that means they're a major contender, even though they don't have many seats. So I think the people have seen that, and now people have voted reform. But believe it or not, in Bradford, reform, I need to give these stats as well. Bradford are leading. They have the most number of seats, 29. There's one actual ward left with 3 councillors due to the death of one of the councillors. I think that's happening next month. So potentially they could get 1 or 2 or even 3 more seats. So I hope that's not the case. But they are leading, and they can easily form some sort of coalition with the Conservatives. Labour is in 3rd place with 17 seats. Then we've also got Green Party and Your Bradford Independent Group with 9 each. So there's, I think that's increased. Your Bradford Independent Groups has increased. There's more for Green Party as well. But I think locally, Liberal Democrats, even though nationally they're doing well, locally they only have 1 seat. I think that might change that was a Liberal seat. So it's interesting that even Bradford, where people think there's loads of Muslims and they have the say, but in actual fact, is the fact that the Muslims are, or I think people with ethnic communities are based in the city areas, and that they cannot even control Bradford, never mind them controlling the United Kingdom. That is not going to happen anytime soon. And we're not expecting Nigel Farage or Tommy Robinson to convert to Islam and the king, even though there's reports, it looks like fake reports, the king's already converted. It's not happening anytime soon. We have to be realistic. So we are living in this society where reform and the far right, even in most places in Europe, except for probably Spain and a couple of other places, Ireland, the far right have taken over and they are targeting, because of economic reasons, they will target minorities. And it's happened before with the, believe it or not, with the Jewish communities. In the UK, there's been massacres with minorities, and in the past, and in Europe, we've seen, a whole genocide, whole Holocaust against people. So I think we need to be mindful of that, and we need to be steady, and we need to show good manners. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who don't show good manners. Basic manners. If you show yourself in a bad light, there's so many negatives that are going on. Even though there's so many people who are doing positives as well. There's people doing food banks and other stuff. But I think this is probably the outcome that you will see when there's people, whether it's to do with drugs, grooming gangs, or even people, having no respect. Like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I saw, shall we say, who looked like an Asian person who was swearing an old woman. That's wrong. You have to respect your elders. That's basic manners.
Basic manners.
Basic, absolute basic.
That's where we
basic
should
manners.
start from.
So, what do you call, these guys should know better. What do you call, and I've seen, people doing lots of good stuff as well. So we need to keep that up as well. But I think once they actually see that there's no much difference, this is all fake news that is pumped from abroad. So the US, people from the US and even Thailand and the UAE are paying for reform to do this. And it's an absolute disgrace where we see that there's foreign funding for local. That shouldn't really be allowed, I think, in my opinion. So the US or other places, they get to have a say on what goes on, especially when there's so much fake news peddled. I think we should be calling for those reforms, not just this reform party. Yeah, but I think locally there might be some good things as well from this. We'll talk about that. I'll let you let you say a few things that I'll say some of the positive things that might happen.
Yeah, so the one positive thing is there's discussions about with people. We've been living in this country for 50, 60 years. I mean, the next, some of the, obviously we can look at everything, some of the stuff that Nigel Farage has, I don't know if you saw the interview with Trevor Phillips, and he talked about, Islamophobia and racism. So the thing is, people will have to.
So, sorry, I have to correct you. You didn't talk about Islamophobia. I think most likely he was Islamophobic because he was saying blaming Muslims.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was blaming Muslims for a lot of the ill that is happening. And I think, what do you call it, is comparing different types of Muslims. And even with the Palestinian marches that happen every Saturday, I don't know, are they still happening?
I think so. There is some.
There's activity.
There's one coming up about the Nakba.
Okay.
So there's going to be a big protest. Or
but this is all, believe it or not, foreign policy that is being impacted on these groups. But let's hope this is like some kind of protest war and things change, because we don't want people from the far right, even though. Can I say some of the positive things that might happen?
Yeah, sure, you can go say it. Yeah.
We've got a figurehead whose name is Muhammad Ziauddin Yusuf, so Zia Yusuf, who claims that he's still Muslim, and even though he wants to probably have some very liberal choice of views, I don't know if he's still in Islam, but he's got some very, very liberal views, and he's targeting his own. People say they're using that kind of individual. Who some people I don't want to use those phrases, but even though we do know that if it was a court case, again they're using brown people to do the white people's job for them basically, and yeah, so it does look like that. It does look like even though he's very wealthy, that he still for some reason he's got some kind of ill against what do you call ethnic minority people or Muslims. So I don't know what that is, but saying that he hasn't changed his name yet. His name is still Zia
What you're
Yusuf.
saying, I agree with
Yeah,
that.
so he's a figurehead there. I think locally, when in the Bradford elections, I think some of the policies could potentially change. Like for example, with council tax rises, they won't be so substantial, and probably to do with like fines and CAS charges, clean air zone charges, and that kind of stuff. So there could be some positives, and we do know that thankfully there is Sharia in reform. There's Muhammad Sharia, who's a councillor. I think he's won the election.
Yeah, his name.
So Muhammad Sharia is there. So and they don't want Sharia, but they've got Sharia.
Yeah. So that's something that obviously may help Muslims to
Yeah.
and invite them to Islam, and they can have the Sharia, Muhammad Sharia is
Yeah.
already a good way to start off with.
Yeah,
What my message is to our Muslim youth and our community is basically to understand political reality and to engage in an ideological debate as to how we see how the society should be run. Individually, that could be society wise. And, we've had 1300 years of, history. But, even now we see more and more non-Muslims becoming Muslim. That's in universities, and
I
it's
think that's unstoppable. I think that we've seen worldwide, and that is another start. Even though these starts years ago, reform is the case, but worldwide in Europe, and for some people that's a problem. But I think what they are trying to do in some cases, obviously, is pretty expensive.
yeah.
Getting migrants here, housing them, this and that. So they probably do need to change a few policies there. But this is only, I just need to remind people, I think we're going to go, this is a local level issue. Nationally, it's going to be probably 2029 before they can actually come. But I think by that time, we'll see hopefully less reform or less, if reform exists, we're going to see more Sharia in there and more Muslims who actually change that. Because they're already getting funded from the Muslims anyway. So
Yeah.
that's another factor. But I think we'll leave it as that, Ajay.
Yeah, we'll
And
continue this in a short while.
yeah, that's fine. Thank you, and we'll see you guys after the break. Thank you.